This video will cover the topic of circle vocabulary. Be sure the date and topic are at the top of your page. The essential question for the video is, what vocabulary do we use to describe parts of circles? We're working with circles for the next mini unit, and so it's important that we all have the same language. Go ahead and make sure you have a circle on your notes page, and I've gone ahead and written down some of the vocabulary terms that we're going to reference. If you know any of them already, feel free to write in any that you already are aware of. Some of them will be familiar to you and some of them might be new. The first one we'll look at is the word center, and we'll define that as the exact middle of a circle. So I'm going to go ahead and put a point right directly in the middle of my circle. And I'll make that point and then I will label that center. So I did my best to put that right in the middle. The next term is radius. Probably some of us are pretty familiar with radius, and that's the distance from that center to anywhere on the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and label that. Starting at my center, I'm just going to draw a line anywhere to the edge, and that is my radius. In addition to the radius, we also have the diameter. And the diameter also is related to the center, and that is that it is a distance across the circle, but it has to pass through the center. So from any spot on one end of the circle to the other, so long as it passes through the diameter, you can draw that and label that, passes through the center, you can go ahead and label that diameter. And the diameter is twice the length of the radius. So the diameter is 2 times the radius. And also, when you're thinking about the radius, you could say, oh, well, the radius is the diameter divided by 2. So those are some things to keep in mind. A term that might be new is this term chord, and that is any line segment that connects 2 points on the edge of a circle. So for example, from here to here, those are 2 parts of the circle edges. If I connect that, that is a chord. So that might be new for some of us. And then there's one more, and that is arc. You might be familiar with an arc from like rainbows, right? They form an arc. They look kind of like this, right? So an arc is any section of the edge of a circle. So if I go from here to here, that is an arc of the circle. So that's some basic vocabulary of parts of a circle. We're going to see some more terms that will be coming up on the next slide. So once again, I'm drawing another circle that we can label with a couple pieces of information. One term is circumference and the other is area. And we'll go more in depth in these in future videos and future lessons, but for now we just want to know what they mean. The first is circumference, and this is kind of like the perimeter of a circle. And by that I mean that it measures the distance around a circle. So if I'm looking at the circumference of this circle, I'm really looking at all of this distance around the outside, how much it takes to measure all the way around this entire edge, right? That would be my circumference, the distance around the circle. The area is just what you would think based on our other work with geometry. So just like any other geometric shape, the area is the space inside the circle. So all of this, if we figure out how much space there is in here, would constitute the area of the circle. And just for fun, we have a couple other words that you might see that relate to circles: concentric, inscribed, and circumscribed. And it's a little hard to tell here with my pen on my screen, but all of these circles are concentric because they have the same center, but they all have a different radius. They're a different size. So we'll define concentric as circles with the same center but different radius. The next circle is now what we call inscribed. You can see that I have a blue rectangle square on the outside that is touching exactly these edges of our circle right here, 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 and here. So we call this an inscribed circle because it fits exactly inside that polygon. It's inscribed inside it. There's that in, right? Inside inscribed. And our third word, circumscribed, looks like it's kind of the opposite. This time I have a circle around a rectangle. And so we can say that a circumscribed circle is one that fits exactly around a polygon. So those are some kind of fun words that you'll expect to see later, not necessarily with our 6th grade practice, but it's good for us to know and be familiar with. So now I want you to take a look at this image or this picture that I've drawn and draw the same in your spiral. And I want you to answer 2 questions. 1, I want you to tell me what the radius is of this circle, knowing what you see here. And 2, I want you to find the area of the entire square. So these are our 4 corners here, right? This is a square along the outside. And I want you to say what the area is. So be sure to bring these with you to class. And in class, we'll also, of course, practice some more with these terms. Remember that the essential question was, what vocabulary do we need when we are talking about circles? And we've seen a whole bunch. So come with any questions you might have and the answer to these 2 questions to class.